you know, or something that has a lot less calories that come from fat. All right, if your meal, if you're using that, and I have seen, trust me, I have seen some bacon meals that I'm just like, whoa, you know, that's a lot of fat. We're talking, you know, bacon and some other meat involved in there, maybe some eggs and, you know, whatever it is that they're doing, and it's crazy. So it's not saying not to eat these if you don't have a problem. I personally cannot eat pork. And that's just an issue because, just so you know, pigs are scavengers, kind of like shrimp. At the bottom, you guys have seen Finding Nemo, right? I showed that in my one-on-one classes yesterday, you know, Bruce, intervention, shark thing. But Finding Nemo, when they're in the fish tank, the shrimp wants to clean the tank. And they're like, no, you can't clean the tank. Because they want to take the fish out so they have a chance to escape is the whole premise there. In case you're wondering why they weren't letting them clean the tank. But anyway, pigs are the same thing. They do the same thing. They scavenger-ish. So they will eat whatever, all right? They eat whatever. So that pig is out in the field eating whatever. They get slaughtered later in the day, processed, and then you consume the meat. So for somebody who reacts to chemicals very easily, I don't know what that pig had. So there are certain times that I will, if I know where the pig came from and kind of the area that they're in, I may have a bacon or two. But so just kind of the whole philosophy there that they are scavengers. So that might be a reason to limit it, but it doesn't say you don't have to go without it. So look down that list and just kind of look at some of the different things that are there, and you know, understand then that you have to kind of pair it with proper foods so that you're not getting all fat in a meal or in a day. All right, so our different types of dietary fat, triglycerides. This is the main type of dietary fat that we intake, our triglycerides. These are your true neutral fats, so 98% of fats come from there. Cholesterol is a non-essential because it is made in our liver. Okay, so cholesterol is created in the body, so it is not something essential that we have to get dietary-wise. But you know, there's kind of the iffy, you know, how much should we intake dietary-wise? That's still in the gray area. I would say pay attention to it, but you don't have to go completely without. Phospholipids, these are also non-essential. They are made from the triglycerides. And like I said, those are found in like your cell membranes. They are also components of hormones in the body. So you can see how important having these fats are to what is happening in the body. If you remember from anatomy and physiology, how that all works. All right, so specific fatty acids, they're chains of carbons, hydrogens, and oxygen. Essential fatty acids, our body does not make omega-3s and omega-6s, okay? Omega-3s are what you probably have heard of as good fats, and omega-6s, not good fats. And probably the intention of that, because you still need both, but our ratio is so skewed, it should be a 1-to-2 omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, and it's probably more like a 1-to-4, 1-to-5 ratio of the general American population, if that, okay? So those ratios need to be there, and I think I get to that. I got a little bit ahead of myself. Okay, so here's what the triglyceride looks like. So when we were talking about breaking down and pulling out the glycerol in order to help with energy, this is what the compound is talking about, that it takes the glycerol from the fats. The fatty acids cannot be broken down into the glucose. All right, but you can take the glycerol from that. So this is figure 5.2 in your book, if you're looking at that, which I think is back a little bit. And so here, a couple of things I want to point out. So saturated fatty acid, all single bonds where the carbons and the hydrogens come together. So that is what makes it saturated. All right, there are 2 hydrogens for every carbon that you have. Unsaturated has a double bond between the carbons. Okay, and so it's lacking 2 hydrogen ions. That is unsaturated fat. And whenever you see the cis that is there, that is unsaturated fatty acid, and it's on the same side that you're missing the hydrogens. Okay, so the trans, they're on opposite sides. If you go take some chemistry classes, it'll teach you a little bit more about that. But that's basically when you see those words, that's what it's talking about. Okay? A monounsaturated fat, the mono, it just has 1 double bond. Okay, so there are just the 2 hydrogens that are missing. If you have a polyunsaturated fat, and this, when you see PUFA, you'll see that written, and we'll talk about those. Okay, that is polyunsaturated fatty acids. Those would be like your omegas. Okay, so kind of showing that down there. Let's see, what else do we? Yeah, I think that's it. So that's kind of the chemical that you're talking about. So when you're hearing all of this, you understand what you're looking at. Let me just make sure. Okay, I do want to talk, so partially hydrogenated. So what happens, oils that are there naturally sometimes are unstable. And so, now that we have this higher technology, they want to go in and make them more stable. One of the ways that they do that is they partially hydrogenated oils, they add back in some hydrogen. Okay, so they add those back in, partially hydrogenated oils, to create maybe something that has a little bit longer shelf life, a little bit more stable of an oil. And yeah, we talked about that the glycerol can be converted to carbohydrate. Where does that occur? What organ? Take a guess. Yeah, where is the glycerol from the fats? Where is that converted to, I almost said it. Where is that converted to your carbohydrate, to your glucose?
The liver.
The liver. Okay. When in doubt in this class, yell liver. So a lot of the processes take place there. All right. Okay, so this is figure 5.3. This is looking at then kind of all of these and what types of foods they might be found in, or what types of oils have the different types of fatty acids. Okay? And this is where I want to point out that not all fats are created equal, is in this spot. All right, coconut oil, actually, and a few years ago, and I can't remember, it may have been long enough ago that it was before you guys were actually students here. Some students here did a research project in the chemistry department, and they looked at coconut oil to see if, talking about the extra nutrients, and for the life of me now, it's stuck in my brain. I remember I'll wake up in the middle of the night tonight and yell it out, but I can't remember what it is. But it helps with weight loss, okay? And I happen to be a big fan of coconut oil. Unrefined, I get it as minimally processed as possible. But coconut oil, I use it literally just about for everything. And so we pop our popcorn in it, and I told one of my girls, I said, oh, just rub some coconut oil. I don't know if they had dry skin or something. No, I don't want to smell like popcorn. And I said, most people don't associate coconut oil with popcorn, just in our house. And to be honest, I almost don't smell coconut oil anymore because it's such a part of my life. And so, but the saturated fatty acids in there, compared with the saturated fatty acids down here, are much different, okay? And also, I look at it like this too. At room temperature, depending what room you're in our house right now, coconut oil is a solid, because I keep our thermostat in the 60s. But in the summers, and actually I have a bag of coconut oil in our the women's. We have a staff locker room up here, and for some reason it's always hot in there, and it's a liquid because over I'm going to get it wrong, 76 degrees I believe. Coconut oil is a liquid. Okay, I think of it like this: our bodies are what? What's the temperature of our bodies? Okay, so in my mind, when you intake coconut oil, it actually is a liquid. Now, does it still have the saturated fatty acid bonds? Yeah, but it is a liquid in our bodies. So I'm a big fan of coconut oil, but also know this, that I don't eat any processed foods. Okay, so I'm not getting any of the oil, all the fats that would be found in processed foods. So I can be a little bit maybe liberal with the coconut oil due to that, right? Butter, I also eat real butter. I don't know if I probably mentioned in here, I even make my own butter, and it's yummy. It's real, made right from milk that's right from the cow, and it's really good. But in order to be able to sell it in the stores, it has to go through a pasteurization and take out some of the enzymes that help us to be able to digest it properly. Okay? And then you kind of, as you get down, not a huge fan of palm oils. And then you do have to be careful. I have to tell you, lard or beef fat, growing up in my era, I grew up on a farm, obviously, because, I mean, I tend to gravitate toward raw and right from, eggs fresh from the chicken. But, we used to have a can right next to the stove. I don't know some of your grandparents, if you visited them in the past. And that is where all of our extra fat would go. And then my mom would scoop it out and use it to cook with the next time she needed oil. That's what we used. But there were not processed foods back then. Or they were starting to come out, but I lived on a farm in the middle of nowhere, so we didn't know that yet. We just didn't eat it a lot. But, so you have to kind of say, how horrible is it? Well, it depends on what the rest of your diet looks like. Okay? So monounsaturated. So these are supposedly our best oils to go with. And I have to say, I'm okay with olive oil and peanut oil. Not super, but I'm okay there. I have a little bit of problem with soybean oil and canola oil only because of how it is processed. All right, and stuff is coming out, like really, we're being tricked. I don't know if you've seen this, but they're saying that a lot of the olive oils on our shelves in the United States, it's fake. And I don't know a whole lot about it, but all I'm telling you is make sure you read your labels really well. But they can even say stuff on the labels that are a blatant lie, and it's okay because they're allowed to do that. If you don't know, there's been a lot of stuff about in the United States about saying, hey, just tell your people what they're eating. And food companies are going to our Congress and our senators and saying, hey, no, don't pass this because then we'll have to reveal information about our products that we don't want people to know. This is happening right now. So anyway, thought that was really weird. It made me a little bit hesitant about the olive oil, but I thought, well, if they can do it to olive oil, they can do it to just about anything. So pay attention where you're buying your stuff, and, you know, I don't even know what to tell you there. You know, just pay a little bit better attention and try to eat as real whole foods as possible. Yeah.
Don't they say, like, even look at, like, the container that it comes in, if it's, like, darker than it's, like, more, it'd be more chance that it'd be, like, real olive oil.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hate to say this too, the price.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking at a big clear jar of olive oil and it's cheap, it's probably not real. So yes, that is a good way to look at that. You know, so, you know, but pay attention to that stuff. It is really scary. But things, yeah. So the containers it comes in, and even the price that they're asking, those are things that you can look at. So your polyunsaturated fatty acids, did I say, I don't know, acids, I think it was like, did I say axis? That would be a different class. Acids, safflower, sunflower, corn oil, I just don't even venture there. But if you look at, when you go look at labels, you look at processed foods, you're going to see a lot of this in your processed foods. Okay, so you need to be careful, as well as this. So, like seriously, just don't go there. If you are going to need butter, just eat butter. And I would just stay away from margarines completely. There is nothing in them that your body needs, really. Okay? You can get your better fats from up here. Okay. Oh, I was going to say here, if you look at the page right before, or let's see, what are some common foods high in fat content? That section. So it's like the second or third section of this chapter. This is really, really interesting. 5 ounces of potato. Okay, 2 different ways. A baked potato, 5 ounces is what we're talking about. So if you can kind of picture what a 5 ounce, you know, maybe kind of the palm, it would fit in the palm of your hand. All right, 145 calories and 3% fat for a baked potato. I love baked potatoes. And I love to cook them. I lather them with butter and Himalayan pink salt, and then cook them for a while, and they are phenomenal. And then I add more butter and salt to the inside of them. So maybe it's the butter and salt that I like. But, you know, I can add butter because the baked potato itself is only 3% fat. If you eat the same amount of potato chip, we're talking 795 calories, more than 60, a 6 and a 0, comes from fat. So out of 795 calories, so compared to 145 calories at 3% fat. So not only is this lower, but the percentage is coming from a much lower number than that is. Okay? So the difference there, eat the potato, right? Just eat the potato. And then if we talk about the types of fat that is in each of these, so 60% of that is fat, but what is the quality of fat like? So there are a lot of things listed underneath this. And I know it takes a little bit longer to, you want the potato now. It takes a little bit of time to get a baked potato. You could, not a huge microwave fan, and that's a whole nother story, but you could throw it in the microwave and have it faster. I would say that would be the better option than to eat the bag of potato chips. Okay? How we doing? We're doing all right. Okay, let's keep going. Maybe we're doing all right. I guess I need to speed up a little bit. Oh, but everything, I have a lot of writing on these pages. Okay, omega-6s, your essential polyunsaturated fatty acids. I'll get everything there so you guys can be looking at it here. All right, this should be 10% of your daily calories should come from here of fat. So 10% of it should come from this area, okay? So omega-6 is the linoleic acid, and these are your vegetable and nut oils, seeds and nuts. So there's certain ones of those are omega-6. Females need 12 grams a day, males need 17 grams a day. Okay, and then our other, the omega-3, it's actually like an alpha linoleic. And here, to have the difference, we just talk about good old Lenny, okay? Linolenin, okay? So there's an N. It's not much different. They threw an N in this one, okay, to show the difference there. So think of omega-3 as our good old Lenny, our fellow Lenny. Flaxseed oils, canola oil, it does fall there, but once again, be careful of the processing that takes place with canola oil. There is information both ways on a canola oil. Okay, I tend to fall in the camp, obviously, of the, if you have another option, use it. Okay, some nuts, seeds, oil, and here are green leafies. Okay. Omega-3s are green leafies. And then kind of within there, we can also talk about fish oils. APA and DHA are great polyunsaturated fatty acids that you can get with fish oils. Our omega-3s, you'll see that like in capsules if people are told by their doctors, you need to get more omega-3s in your diet. They may take it in capsule form, and you can get that, there's flaxseed oils, you can get that fish oils. I'm trying to think what other ones. Those are probably your main ones. There are a couple different types of fish oils. You'll hear people talk about that. But your green leafies. Omega-3s are really, really helpful with cardiovascular issues, okay? People who have cardiovascular issues or are at risk for stroke should really make sure they're getting this. Now, a place you need to be careful, if somebody is on a blood thinner, we do fresh juice every now and again. Right now, it's not as often as it should be. But we really like them, so I did this. I threw in some kale and some collard greens and all this stuff and handed it to my mother-in-law, forgetting she's on a blood thinner. They shouldn't get that because it is a natural blood thinner. And so I said, well, wouldn't it be better